Hey everyone, I'm Liam.
And I'm Sophia Stanslow.
Look, we're not here to tell you what to think. We're just going to show you what we found, the evidence, the documents, and how it all connects.
So are you ready to dive into the stuff nobody else is talking about?
All right, it's Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, and in Minneapolis...
Liam, come on, let's go. Everyone knows what's happening. Alex Pretti, the nurse, shot by federal agents.
Fine, but don't interrupt me.
No promises.
Okay, Alex Pretti, 37 years old, ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA Medical Center.
And Saturday morning, he's dead.
Saturday morning, January 24th, around 9 a.m., he's shot multiple times in a parking lot in South Minneapolis. Border Patrol agents.
How many shots?
According to forensic audio analysis that ABC News commissioned, 10 shots in less than 5 seconds.
10 shots?
10 shots. And here's what the government said almost immediately. Justified.
They investigated that fast?
They didn't investigate. That's the thing. Within days, DHS put out a statement clearing not just this shooting, but 14 other recent shootings all at once. Just blanket justified across the board.
Wait, they can do that? Just decide without an investigation?
Apparently they can, and they did. No independent review, no outside investigators, nothing. But here's where it gets interesting, because CNN started digging.
What'd they find?
So CNN talked to multiple sources close to Pretti, and they got access to medical records. And what they found is that about a week before he died, Pretti had a broken rib.
From the shooting?
No, that's the thing. The rib was broken a week before the shooting.
How do they know that?
Okay, so this is where it gets technical for a second. When a rib breaks, your body immediately starts healing it. Within 5 to 7 days, this thing called a soft callus forms. It's basically early-stage cartilage that bridges the break. The medical examiner found that callus during the autopsy.
So the biology shows it was a week old.
Exactly. Your body doesn't lie. The bone was healing, and the stage of healing puts it at about 7 days before his death.
So what happened a week before?
This is where CNN's reporting gets really detailed. They talked to a source, someone who spoke to Pretti right after this incident, and this source asked to remain anonymous because, quote, they feared retribution.
Smart.
Yeah. So according to this source, here's what happened. It's around January 17th. Pretti's driving in South Minneapolis, and he sees ICE agents chasing what he described as a family, people running on foot.
Just running down the street?
Running down the street, and Pretti stops his car, gets out, and starts blowing a whistle. He's shouting at the agents, trying to, draw attention to what's happening, maybe slow them down.
And then?
Then 5 agents tackle him.
5?
5 federal agents. They take him to the ground, and according to what Pretti told this source later, one of the agents put his full weight on Pretti's back. That's when the rib cracked.
Jesus.
And then, this is important, they let him go, right there at the scene. No arrest, no charges, nothing.
Why would they do that?
I don't know, but CNN's source said that Pretti told them, quote, that day I thought I was going to die.
He said that?
That's what he told this person. And then a few days later, Pretti goes and gets medical treatment. CNN reviewed the records. They confirmed he was prescribed medication that's specifically used for rib fractures.
So there's a paper trail.
There's a paper trail, medical records, a witness who spoke to Pretti right after, the autopsy showing the healing fracture. All of it lines up.
So what does DHS say?
DHS says, quote, DHS law enforcement has no record of this incident.
No record?
No record, no report, no paperwork, no documentation that this ever happened.
But his rib was broken.
His rib was broken, so either they're lying or they tackled someone, broke his rib, and just didn't write it down.
That's insane.
It gets worse because CNN also obtained an internal memo.
From DHS?
From a DHS officer in Minneapolis. It was sent earlier this month to ICE Homeland Security investigators who were temporarily assigned to Minnesota.
What's it say?
I'm going to read you the exact language. It says agents should, quote, capture all images, license plates, identifications, and general information on hotels, agitators, protesters, etc., so we can capture it all in one consolidated form.
Wait, they're collecting information on protesters?
Yeah, and they created a specific form for it. It's called, and this is the official title, Intel Collection Non-Arrests.
Non-arrests?
Non-arrests, meaning these are people they're not arresting, but they're still collecting their personal information.
kind of information?
According to CNN's reporting, the form allows agents to input personal details, names, photos, vehicle information, where they're staying, all of that, for agitators and protesters they encounter.
Is that legal?
That's the question, right? Because these are people exercising their First Amendment. They're not committing crimes. That's why they're non-arrests. But federal agents are building files on them anyway.
Did they have a file on Pretti?
CNN sources say that Pretti's name was known to federal agents before the shooting on January 24th.
So they knew who he was.
They knew who he was. Now, CNN says it's not clear if they used this specific form to track him, but his name was in their system somehow.
That's terrifying.
And it's not just this one memo, because Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, has talked about this publicly.
What'd he say?
Earlier this month, Homan went on Fox News and said, I'm quoting here, "We're going to create a database where those people that are arrested for interference, impeding, and assault, we're going to make them famous. We're going to put their face on TV. We're going to let their employers, in their neighborhoods, in their schools, know who these people are."
A public database?
A public database of protesters. And this is the guy running the operation.
Okay, but wait, DHS denied they're doing this, right?
They did. There was this video that went viral over the weekend from Maine. A woman is watching an ICE operation from a distance, just observing, and a federal agent walks up to her car and records her license plate. And he tells her, quote, "We have a nice little database, and now you are considered a domestic terrorist."
He said that on camera?
On camera. So DHS had to put out a statement saying, quote, "There is no database of domestic terrorists run by DHS," capital letters N-O.
But there is a database.
There's this Intel collection non-arrests form that we just talked about. So what are they collecting that information for if not a database?
They're just lying.
Or they're playing word games. We don't have a database of domestic terrorists. We have an intelligence collection system for agitators. Same thing, different words.
And Pretti was in that system?
Pretti was in that system. And then there's one more piece to this, because the FBI is now involved.
The FBI?
Yeah. On Monday, FBI Director Kash Patel went on a podcast and said the agency is investigating Signal group chats, the encrypted messaging app, where people are sharing information about ICE operations.
Like what kind of information?
Community observers use these chats to warn each other when they see ICE in their neighborhoods, like, "Hey, ICE is on 5th Street, avoid this area," that kind of thing.
And that's illegal?
Patel says it is. He said people cannot, quote, "create a scenario that illegally entraps and puts law enforcement in harm's way."
So now watching ICE is a crime?
According to the FBI director, it might be. And on Tuesday, DHS announced they're investigating a U.S. citizen who allegedly tried to buy a gun twice and said she wanted to, quote, "protect herself from ICE agents and also to kill ICE agents."
Okay, that's different though.
That's different, but do you see how they're mixing everything together? Violent threats, peaceful observation, protesters with whistles, it all gets lumped into this anti-ICE activity category.
And Pretti was in that category?
Pretti was in that category. He blew a whistle at agents chasing a family. They tackled him and broke his rib. He filed a complaint. And then, 7 days later,
January 24th, Saturday morning, multiple witnesses, multiple videos. CNN analyzed the footage, and at no point is Pretti seen wielding a weapon before the shooting.
wait, I thought he had a gun.
DHS says agents found a gun in his waistband after they wrestled him to the ground, but in all the videos before that moment, you don't see him holding anything.
So did he pull it or not?
That's what an independent investigation is supposed to figure out, but the government already decided he was a threat before any investigation happened.
Based on nothing public. They just said justified and moved on.
While his family is burying him.
While his family is burying him. And that's why half the country thinks this was an execution, and half the country thinks it was self-defense, and nobody actually knows because there's no real investigation.
This is such a mess.
It's a mess, and it's why Minneapolis looks the way it does right now.
So, what's actually happening on the ground in Minneapolis right now?
I want to start with what status quo journalist Tina Dessenberg said, because she's been covering this from inside the protests.
What'd she say?
She called it a war zone.
Like, metaphorically?
No, she means it literally. She said, quote, "This is Trump's army waging war." And when you look at the footage she and other journalists have captured, it's hard to argue with that description.
What does it look like?
Okay, so there's this hotel in South Minneapolis where ICE agents are staying. It's become like their forward operating base, and the perimeter around it isn't just police tape, it's fortified.
What do you mean, fortified?
I mean barriers, multiple layers of law enforcement, armored vehicles. It looks like a military checkpoint in a combat zone, not a hotel in an American city.
And protesters are trying to get near it?
Some are protesting nearby, yeah, and the response has been extreme.
How extreme?
They're using explosive munitions, not just tear gas, we're talking grenades, flashbangs, the kind of stuff you'd use in a riot, but there isn't really a riot.
What do you mean?
Most of the people out there are just standing there, observing, chanting, and federal agents are responding with weapons designed to disorient and disperse large, violent crowds.
Have people been hurt?
Yeah, Desserberg herself got hit with gas multiple times. Other journalists have been hit with projectiles. And here's the thing, it's not accidental.
What do you mean?
Journalists are being deliberately targeted. Desserberg and others have described situations where agents see someone with a camera and specifically aim at them.
Why would they do that?
Because cameras are witnesses. If there are no cameras, there's no evidence. It's witness suppression.
That's illegal, isn't it?
Attacking journalists is definitely illegal, but remember, the government already said these operations are justified. So in the agents' minds, they've already been given a green light.
So they think they can do whatever they want?
That's what it looks like, yeah. And that's why Desserberg called it a war, because in a war, you suppress media access. You control the information environment. That's what this feels like.
Has anyone been arrested for attacking journalists?
Not that we know of. No accountability, no investigations, nothing.
Of course not.
Okay, but Liam, who are these agents? Like, where are they coming from? How are they getting hired?
That is exactly what independent journalist Laura Jedeed wanted to find out. And what she discovered is, honestly, it's worse than you'd think.
What'd she do?
So last August, Jedeed heard that ICE was holding these massive hiring events across the country. Career fairs, basically. And they were promising on-the-spot hiring with big financial incentives.
How big?
$50,000.
As a signing bonus?
As a signing bonus. You show up, you get hired, you walk out with a commitment for $50,000, plus up to $60,000 in student loan forgiveness.
That's over $100,000.
Over $100,000 in benefits just for signing up. So Jedeed thought, I want to see what this process actually looks like, and she went to one of these fairs in Texas.
Did she lie on her application?
No, that's the interesting part. She submitted a real resume with her real name and real background. She's a military veteran. She deployed to Afghanistan twice, so on paper, she's actually a viable candidate.
Okay, so she applies, then what?
They call her in for an interview.
How long did it take?
6 minutes.
The interview was 6 minutes?
6 minutes total. She described it as very basic administrative questions. Nothing in depth, no real vetting, just surface-level stuff.
Like, what kind of questions?
She didn't give specifics in the interview, but she said they asked about her availability, her willingness to relocate, things like that. Nothing about her views, nothing about her background beyond what was on the resume.
And then?
And then she left. And she figured that was the end of it, because here's the thing. Jedeed is extremely Googleable.
What do you mean?
Her name is unusual. She's the only Laura Jedeed on the internet. And if you Google her, you immediately find that she's a journalist who writes critically about ICE, about Trump's immigration policies, all of it.
So she thought they'd look her up and drop her.
Exactly. But a few days later, she gets an email.
Saying what?
Saying she has a tentative job offer.
They offered her the job?
They offered her the job. And here's where it gets weird, because Jedeed didn't respond to that email. She let it sit in her inbox.
On purpose?
On purpose. She wanted to see what would happen if she just didn't engage. So she never filled out any of the follow-up paperwork, never signed anything, never submitted the background check forms.
And?
A few weeks go by and she gets another email, this time from LabCorp.
The medical testing company?
Yeah. LabCorp says ICE wants her to come in for a drug test.
Even though she never accepted the offer?
Even though she never accepted the offer. So Jedeed thinks, this is ridiculous, but let's see how far it goes. And she goes and takes the drug test.
Did she think she'd pass?
No, she told Democracy Now! That she'd smoked legal cannabis 6 days before the test. She figured there's no way it's out of her system yet.
So she's just messing with them at this point.
She's documenting the process, yeah. And then 9 days after the drug test, she gets curious and logs into the ICE hiring portal.
What does she see?
Okay, this is where it goes from weird to completely insane. The portal says she joined ICE 3 days earlier.
Joined? Like she's an employee?
According to the system, yes. It shows that she accepted the final offer, that her background check is complete, and that she's officially a deportation officer.
But she never signed anything.
She never signed anything, never filled out the background check paperwork, never submitted the domestic violence affidavit that's required, never did any of it.
How is that possible?
It gets better. The system shows her background check as completed 3 days in the future from when she's looking at it.
In the future?
In the future. Like the date stamped on the completed background check is 3 days after the day she's logged in.
So they're just making it up.
It looks like they're just making it up. And in her interview with Democracy Now!, Jedeed said, quote, "The answer to the question, who are they hiring, is they don't know."
They hired a journalist who writes hit pieces about them.
They hired a journalist who writes hit pieces about them. And she has a profile on Antifa Watch. That's a right-wing website that tracks leftist activists.
And they still hired her?
They still hired her, which means the question isn't just, did they fail to vet Laura Jedeed? The question is, who else did they fail to vet?
Like who?
People with domestic violence convictions. Because remember, Jedeed never signed the domestic violence affidavit. If someone lies on that form or just doesn't submit it, would ICE even know?
Apparently not.
Apparently not. What about sex offenders, people with records of abuse? If there's no real background check happening, those people could be out there with badges and guns right now.
That's horrifying.
And here's the other thing. Jedeed talked to one of the ICE agents at the job fair. This was like an optional informational interview, not part of the hiring process. And this agent told her something interesting.
What?
He said that new hires don't go straight to the streets. You have to push paperwork for about 6 months first, do administrative work before you get a badge and a gun and go out on operations.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, except when Jedeed said, "Oh, that's fine, I'm good with administrative work," the agent's whole tone changed.
How?
He got almost concerned. He said, "Listen, we want everyone on the street with guns eventually," like it was really important to him that she understood she'd be out there doing enforcement.
Why would he care?
Because that's the priority. They're not hiring analysts or paper pushers. They're hiring people to go out and detain people, and they want them on the streets as fast as possible.
Even if they're not vetted?
Even if they're not vetted. And the $50,000 signing bonus, that's taxpayer money going to people they don't know.
Wait, you said some of these people are contractors, right?
Yeah, and that's a whole other layer to this, because ICE isn't just hiring federal agents, they're also contracting with private companies.
For what?
Detainee transport and detention. So there are private prison companies, CoreCivic, Geo Group, that have multi-million-dollar contracts with DHS to move people around and lock them up.
And those people aren't federal agents?
They're not federal agents, they're private employees working for for-profit companies, and we don't know what their vetting process looks like because those contracts aren't public.
So we have no idea who these people are.
We have no idea. But we do know that when Trump announced his immigration crackdown, the stock prices for these companies shot up.
Because more deportations means more money for them.
Exactly. According to PBS, DHS just spent $140 million buying planes from Boeing specifically for deportations.
Deportation planes?
Deportation planes. And they're building 7 new mega detention centers near places like El Paso, close to logistics hubs, so they can move people in and out quickly.
This is an industry.
It's an industry. Locking people up and moving them around has become a business model. And the more people they detain, the more money these companies make.
So what happens if Congress cuts the funding?
That's what's happening right now. Senate Democrats have said they will not vote to fund DHS unless there are new restrictions on how ICE operates.
Because of the Pretti shooting?
Because of the Pretti shooting, because of the other shooting earlier this month, Renee Good, also a U.S. citizen, also killed by ICE, and because of everything we just talked about, the lack of vetting, the violence, all of it.
So what happens tomorrow?
Tomorrow, the Senate has to pass the funding bill by midnight. If they don't, we get a partial government shutdown starting Friday morning at 12:01 a.m.
What shuts down?
Department of Homeland Security, Defense, Treasury, Health and Human Services, Transportation, Education, about half of the federal government.
And the agents on the streets in Minneapolis?
They're essential workers, so they keep working, but they don't get paid until the shutdown ends.
So they're out there with guns, no paycheck, and no oversight.
For however long this lasts, yeah.
Who's controlling them?
We're gonna find out in about 36 hours.
All right, everyone, that's Deep Dive for today. Stay safe out there.
We'll be back tomorrow to see what happens when the money stops but the guns don't. Take care.
And seriously, hit that subscribe button. We're not going anywhere.